Welcome, everyone, to Bow Live. We're here again with Florida Closing and Escrow with expert attorneys John Iowanu and Anthony Bauza. Again, here for you during this challenging time, and things are improving. As you know, beaches and gyms and so forth have opened. On the other hand, there has been some uptake. So there's been a postponement of going into phase 3. So we'd like to advise to be careful and to follow the guidelines of distancing and so forth, which we will be speaking about today. So there is some good news. There have been increased showings, there have been increased virtual tours, and there have been many new orders. So that's the positive news. We'd like to address some of the legal concerns during this time period. So let's start with that.
Okay,
Go ahead, John.
so what was your question? Sorry.
Some of the legal concerns that we need
Uh,
to address during this time period. I know there are
sorry.
issues with showings and with
I was saying,
restrictions on opens and so forth. I know we have to follow the CDC guidelines and
right.
fair housing if you want to address some of those
No, yeah,
issues.
definitely. The best thing to do is to follow the best practices. And what that includes is being familiar with all the local and state orders. They're going to clarify how many people can be present for a showing, appointment only showing, they'll talk about, and also restrictions on open houses. Also, it's best to keep a detailed log of all the interactions for a showing, which includes the name of the attendees, their contact information, and dates and times that they were there. Also, to make sure you're following the CDC guidelines, which includes providing hand sanitizers, requiring all attendees to wear face masks, and also to maintain social distancing. All of these will help mitigate the risk of the virus, obviously. For more information about these guidelines, the National Association of Realtors website is very good. They have a guide for realtors, and it talks about general guidance during the virus, guidance for fair housing compliance during the pandemic, and also showing guidance during reopening. So if you like, we can post that website, and the realtors can check it out when they have time.
Yes, it's very important for realtors to provide transaction guidance during this time period, and we are happy to legally as well. If there's any questions about anti-discrimination practices and so forth, those issues do arise. And John gave you the reference, and we're happy to help answer any questions as well. Okay,
That website, Cindy, if you want to give it to them now, is www.nar.realtor/coronavirus. But we can
correct.
post that later as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Our next question is about Miami in particular. As we discussed last week, we became number one in the country over Texas as the place where most buyers were looking to move for several reasons. We are attracting art aficionados, foodies, boat people, and so forth. And although it might seem like our prices are higher to locals than elsewhere, actually we're a bargain to foreigners. Armani Casa, in fact, has sold 2 units during this time period. Luxury brands are selling, especially when you can have home gyms, offices in the building, or your units. In fact, your home has become the most valuable asset right now. If you want to add to that about Miami.
Yeah, like you said, it is good news that Miami is the top for people coming here. However, we also hold the title of the most expensive metro area are one of the most expensive in the U.S. for renters and home buyers, because we have a rate of $875 per square foot. But like you just mentioned, compared to Monte Carlo, which their square footage approximation is over 4,000, and London is over 2,000. So consider to the other countries in the world, Miami is a bargain. And we are ranked 71st most expensive city in the world. So we are definitely a place to be for not only Northeasterners, but also home buyers from other countries. So uh, we continue to recommend realtors advertise as much as they can, as best they can, to not only reach as many people in the US, but also outside of the US as well.
Thank you. And I'm just going to recap from last time. Anthony also made some great points about Miami. Thank you. If I can add what some of the things you stated, that we have the homestead exemption, we don't have the state income tax. Also, weather benefits, location, safety, and so forth are benefits that are attracting many New Yorkers, Northeasterners, and people from US as well, again, as foreigners for the reasons that we just stated. So anyone have anything to add to that?
Um, yeah, like we just mentioned, advertising is the way. I mean, they're not just sitting around and waiting for someone to contact you. Is not the best way to contact these people. So use your friends, use your family members, send out whatever you can do with social media, because that not only stays here, it also goes global as well. So continue doing those things and reaching out to as many people as you can.
Agreed. Now's the time to keep in touch with clients, show concern for them, reach out and ask them how you can be of assistance, how you can help them, educate them, do comps for them, educate them about the locations, the neighborhood, the benefits of different locations, different properties, and so forth. Realtors can be a great asset right now.
Yeah.
Okay, the next subject are the NAR updates. They're focusing particularly on equality right now. And there's also been updates about the physical workspace, the best practice for showing properties, buying and selling guidelines. And um, uh, we want to first address the unemployment update. So, Anthony?
So as far as the unemployment assistance, there was the pandemic unemployment assistance, which extended unemployment benefits to self-employed individuals. The state of Florida has finally implemented this. So if you applied before April 5th, you would need to reapply at floridajobs.org. If you applied after April 5th, then your application is good to go, and you automatically be considered for the pandemic unemployment assistance. In addition to receiving up to $275 of weekly benefits, there is an additional federal pandemic unemployment compensation of $600 per week, so making that up to $875 per week for unemployment assistance. Now, the $600 is only through July 31st, whereas the regular unemployment assistance would be an additional 39 up to 39 weeks, which would bring us through December 31st of this year.
Correct. Okay, thank you. What about the update to the PPE and the Flexibility Act?
It's the PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program, and they passed the Flexibility Act, which basically makes the requirements easier for businesses that have obtained this loan. Some of the changes include increasing the repayment period, providing additional terms for the rehiring and exemptions for forgiveness. And as far as the PPP funds, there's still over $100 billion in funding currently available, and the deadline to apply is June 30th.
Okay. And what about forbearance? What's the update? And with evictions, and if you're going to be late on paying your mortgage or rent?
So as far as evictions go in Florida, the executive order, the moratorium on evictions was extended through July. Um, as far as forbearance, there is federal forbearance for government-backed loans. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA loans. And in this instance, you have many more options available to you with these government backed loans. There's several repayment options, there's forbearance, there's a deferral of payments, there's no interest or fees. The only thing you would have to maintain would be taxes and insurance. And there's no impact to your credit if you comply with the terms of the forbearance program. You should contact your servicer or lender, and they could provide you with all the options. And then, as far as tenants and landlords of non government backed properties, it would be best to negotiate some sort of payment plan. The payments themselves are not forgiven, just you cannot file for eviction during this time. So the payments will eventually come due. So if a landlord and a tenant can work out some sort of payment arrangement before then, that would be most beneficial.
Okay. And the HEROES Act, I believe there was repeal of SALT for the mortgage relief and for renters assist, and also online notarization law, if you can speak about that.
So the HEROES Act did pass through the House. It has not gone to vote yet in the Senate. There's many additions that would be included if it does get passed and made into a law. Some of that would include an additional round of stimulus checks up to $6,000 per household. It would expand the $600 of unemployment compensation that I spoke of earlier, through December 31st as well. It would also suspend student loan payments, and it would provide for $100 billion in nationwide rental assistance for tenants not able to pay. In addition, it establishes a HEROES Fund to provide additional compensation for some essential workers. So we are waiting for for that to come up to the Senate for vote, but until then, it's just through the House for now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next subject is how the realtor's value has actually increased significantly during this pandemic, starting with precautions. And there was a survey taken of over 1,000 buyers and sellers, and it showed that realtors are more highly valued than before. Um, Actually, realtors agents importance to buyers was 54% and sellers 62%, and they thought that the realtor was going to be of significant value if the seller or the buyer could not agree. Also, we are available legally when and if that situation ever happens. In addition, per the survey, 56% of people who toured a home said they will re-engage now. And interestingly enough, 41% said they can envision themselves buying a home without ever visiting it. So there's a big role now for virtual tours and virtual showings, as well as e-signings. And you want to address that? Electronic signings?
Yeah. So we have several different options. We can do remote online notarization now as of January 1st in the state of Florida. So that's a process where you just need a camera equipped either smartphone, tablet, or laptop computer, and you join a session with the notary and you apply an electronic signature, and you are verified through that program by the online notary. We also can do electronic signature for cash purchases. In addition, we also can do curbside closings. So there are many different options for the people who do not yet feel comfortable yet coming out. Although in that survey that you were speaking of, it did say that over 83% of people surveyed say they are ready to go to an open house, they are ready to attend um, showings for homes. So there are a lot of people that are willing to go out, and for those who aren't, like you said, the virtual tours and the virtual opens are a good option for them.
Yeah, they just want to make sure that certain precautions are taken and following some of the guidelines. The most important precautions were to limit the number of people that would be at a showing to 2 to 4 people, or that would be at an open to 10 at a time. Have somebody greet at the door, have people screened even. You can have them, screen for their temperature to also make sure they don't have any symptoms or have been exposed in the last 14 days. Um, People care most also about wearing gloves, even wearing shoe covers, hand sanitizer, and people keeping the distance of at least 6 feet apart. So these are important issues that should be implemented when you're doing the showings or when you're doing the virtual, when you're doing the tours. In addition, we have virtual tours available, which we'll speak about in a moment. But anything you want to add about the surveys or the guidelines and the role of the realtor?
Well, just like you said, now more than ever is when realtors are needed because of all these guidelines. The normal buyer or seller is not going to know all these rules. So that's why it's prudent upon the realtor to be up to date with these guidelines and rules and make sure that they explain it to the buyers and sellers.
And what do you recommend they sign first? Do you recommend they sign a release prior to a showing or an open?
Yeah, what's that form, Anthony?
The realtors have an in-person acknowledgement form available to them in Form Simplicity, and they could use this for any showing they attend to. They showing they attend. Could have potential buyers sign this form, and it basically states that they will follow the CDC guidelines and all the recommendations to ensure their buyers and the sellers are following guidelines for anyone entering into the home.
And as far as inspections, I know that most people had attended them prior, but during this time period, they don't necessarily have to attend. What is the update on that?
They don't have to. Obviously, if they do, it can be beneficial, especially if there is an issue and if the issue is a major one. The inspector can explain it to the realtor because sometimes photographs and reports don't exactly give the full scope of the issue. So if the realtor can attend it, that's great. I would recommend bringing some work or bringing a laptop because some of those inspections can take several hours. But if they can attend, it would be most beneficial, sure.
And also some of the recommendations from the survey that was taken said that, virtual tours definitely have a lot of value now. There were recommendations that they also added a tour of the neighborhood because a lot of people do want to know about the restaurants, the amenities, the schools, and so forth. And they also said it would be good to provide written information about home improvements that were recommended. So, again, we are here for you to help structure deals to close, to do contract draft and review, to answer any questions for you and your clients. We have most languages available. As Anthony said, we'll do curbside closings, in-person closings, out of state and out of country closings as needed. And Florida End Closing and Escrow can be reached at floridaclosing.com, 305-720-2844. And then I just want to briefly add that we mentioned virtual tours are of great value now. We can help you with virtual tours, virtual showings, live showings. We can help you with 3D tours. If you can't get into the property, if you send pictures, they can be created for you. We also have available digital business cards. They're combination cards, a mini website, landing page, and they have lead capture. You could share them via Facebook, email, and text, and one click to add to your contact list. And it's highly recommended because you don't want to be exchanging business cards and touching as little as possible during this time. And that came out very high on the survey. People prefer people that, they have to have the gloves on, not touching, and distance. So these tools are very valuable right now. And in order to grow your and have lead generation and grow your database, we also recommend WebAlert. WebAlert has subscribers to your website that are turned visitors to your website turned into subscribers that you can then notify and give updates to about properties. So please contact us if you have any questions. We're here to help educate you and to help you close more deals. So anyone want to add?
No, just continue to stay safe. It looks like things are slowly getting better, so we wish everyone to stay safe.
Yes, and we'll be back next week, next Wednesday at 2 p.m. But in the interim, please feel free to contact us. Thank you and stay safe.